Hi, this is Dana, and on this channel I speak about spiritual warfare. I have another channel on astrology and a Facebook page on which I wrote 4 years prophetic writings, and I invite you to read those. In this video, God has guided me to speak about a specific topic about which with which I got acquainted gradually throughout time, throughout my spiritual fighting consciously, namely about rituals and the role of ritualic practice in spiritual fighting. As I already described in previous videos, I started my conscious spiritual fighting in a very brutal way, under very strong attacks from darkness, actually from people who worked with darkness. And of course, because of this, I did not really have enough time to grasp many of the concepts, and I was very cautious. Obviously, I mean, when I was under tremendous attack of sorcery, as they were sending lots of spirit attacks to me, when God would tell me, that I need to do a ritual, I'm not fucking doing anything. I'm not saying any word. I'm not doing anything. Who knows what mistake I make and what I bring upon myself, in addition to what they sent already, So I was very cautious and very, I wouldn't say fearful, but cautious. I think this is the word, about doing this. Because, as I said, it was too abrupt. My conscious spiritual fighting started too abrupt, and it was in a lot of contradiction with what I knew from my spiritual life. And it took a lot of time and a lot of work from the divine realm, from different ancestors of mine, who tried gradually to accommodate me with different concepts and to show to me what they meant by this. And one example which I gave already, I think in one of my videos, it's about writing sigils. This is something that actually Jesus asked me to do in 2019. I was very cautious. I tried to find some literature about it, so I will understand how this works. I read some of the literature out there, and I didn't feel comfortable with it. And for this reason, I actually had a very long debate with Jesus, and I asked, how can I do this? How can I do it so I will feel safe and comfortable with it? And basically, as I explained in my previous videos, we found a common agreement. Jesus explained to me it's about the power of the written word. So you speak out into existence different things, but the written word has a power in itself, which is different from the spoken word. And it's important, and it's part of documenting your spiritual fighting in a form which cannot be altered, because when you speak, God explained to me, God showed me, because God, as I said, God taught me, the energy diagnosis and so on. So God showed me from an energetic perspective. God said, when you speak out, especially when you're under attack from darkness, the level of the determination that is present in your energy when you make that affirmation, it fluctuates based on how much attacks are directed at you at that particular time. As opposed to that, the written word, it has the constant, clear message. However, the spoken word, it is influenced by your energy. So if you're under attack, and your energy, for example, they target your willpower, they target your determination, they target your emotions, they instill different type of emotions in you while you speak out those affirmations, and all of that influences your ability to manifest what you're asking in a prayer or in an affirmation. Yeah. So for this reason, this is why the power of the written word comes to complement and to fortify what you create with your spoken word. Yeah, so we need to do this. So I basically found a midway, and I said I will write a sigil, but then I will do it like a prayer, because this is the common ground, and I've done mystic prayer always, and I feel comfortable with it. So I will do like a mystic prayer, and I would write it on the paper. And then God said, yes, but you have to make a design for a sigil, because that's the purpose of the sigil. So you will have sort of like amulet or a talisman, which basically protects that prayer which you wrote in that sigil. That's the purpose of the sigil. So this is what I did. So this is how I came to creating my first ritualic practice in my spiritual fighting, in creating sigils. And I created a lot of sigils. Many of them actually I posted on my Facebook page. You can go back in 2019 spring and you will see some of them. I didn't post the prayers which I wrote for each sigil, because God told me that this has to be secret. The purpose of the sigil is to be secret, not to be commonly known by everyone. And this was my first experience. Since then, of course, I worked more on this, and I spoke more with God and with Jesus, and they constantly not only reassured me, but explained to me and helped me to understand the importance of the ritualic practice. Namely, what does it mean, ritualic practice? God showed me recently. Anything that you do in order to protect yourself can become ritualic practice. What does it mean? You clean your house. Then you do certain things in cleaning your house. If you decide to do the exact same things at the exact same time, each and every day, or at a certain day in the week or in the month, it depends how often you do this, then that will become a ritualic practice. And I asked God, and why is this important to do this? Because just I find it very silly to keep doing the same thing. And God explained to me that basically, as you repeat, there are two important issues. One of them is that as you repeat the same practice, but when I say repeat, I mean identical, exactly the same words, the same time of the same day of the week, the same everything, yeah? God said that when you repeat that, what you do, you create reality, which is attached to that prayer or request which you're making, namely to clean your house, to clean your money, to receive money, to whatever you are requesting. So God explained to me, the ritualic practice has the purpose of enforcing a reality, basically, because you do it repeatedly. And for this reason, it's not just a spoken word, and it's not just a written word, but it's something that you do ritualic. So then through repetition, it has the power of actually creating reality and creating a constant message. This is one aspect. Another aspect which God has shown to me is that particularly when you go through times of test in your spiritual fighting, that's a time when communication with the divine realm, it's not blocked, but there are certain things related to the test on which God or the divine realm cannot communicate with you, because it's a test. So it's normal that they are not supposed to tell you what to do. You're supposed to know. It's a test. On the other hand, there are topics very important in your spiritual fighting, which I explained already, are blocked by them through work with darkness. They do capsules of energy around specific topics, and literally you cannot find the information. If you find the information, you don't understand the message, and even if you understand the message, you don't succeed. For example, it happened to me. God has shown to me, you will find what you need or the information you need, and in a few seconds it will be completely erased from your mind. This is an information which is encapsulated in the energy of darkness, whereby they create this in order to for you not to achieve something, not to receive something, not to. So it's a blockage which they create. And this is very important, particularly when you do investigation and so on. This is very important because they are trying to block access to information. For example, if you want to break a bondage on your money, on your housing, on your location, on your path, and so on. And God has shown to me that while you are under test or in this kind of circumstances where they blocked your access to certain information, the ritualic practice has a huge importance. Why? Because the divine realm your spiritual team in the divine realm can work through that ritual. So literally, God showed me energetically, because this is a field in which I work directly with God in energy diagnosis. God showed me when you do ritual practice, your ancestors and your team from the divine realm can infuse their energy into that ritual. So they can help you. Even if you don't request their help, they can help you infusing that ritual with more power, with more support, with more help. And this is particularly when you go through tests, when you cannot ask questions to receive answers because you're in a test period. So you have to achieve something on your own. And this can be considered a trick if that they help you, but then it's according to the astral rules. They are allowed to help you. It's a creation, God whispers to me. It's a creation of your own, and they can actually infuse that with energy to support it, to become reality, yeah, to become a protection for you and so on. So this is very important. Now, as I said, everything that you do can become, you can transform everything that you do in your spiritual fighting, you can transform it into a ritual by just repeating that and creating a certain, I wouldn't say call it ceremony, but for example, just make a prayer in the beginning and ask for guidance and for help and for support from your team and so on. So you treat it differently. You don't just work on your own on something, on some spiritual issue, but then you create a certain moment in which you invoke your divine realm team and you ask for help and you ask that they bring this into existence for you. This is really important. Now, God has insisted on this. God said this is very important. And at some point, God showed me, you have done ritualic practice before you started spiritual fighting consciously. So you shouldn't be, everything that is done in the church is a ritualic practice. Absolutely everything. That's a ritualic practice. Then God has shown me, because before I started spiritual fighting, God has shown to me that, for example, I used to have specific times when I would go on pilgrimage, but not like organized pilgrimage. But for example, I would say, at the end of the week, before the end of the week begins, I will go on Friday to 7 monasteries to make prayer for a specific thing that I wanted, or to see certain saints which I wanted to see, because in those churches there were remains from those saints. So I would say I would go to that, and I would do that. Basically, I would just go from church to 7 churches in that day in order to make the same prayer, and I would choose which churches I want to go according to whatever I felt like I wanted to see at that particular time. I would many times do this just because I felt too much heaviness in energy, and I just needed the release, and I needed to go in prayer, in mystic prayer, and to release that, and to have, or I would just go in order to find an answer because I had a question. And I tell you this, that I always, when I did this, I would receive, by the end of the last monastery or church that I went to, I would receive the answer from one or another from my saints that I used to pray to and work with, and so on. Or I would go, for example, to different sites, ancient sites, where there are specific, historical, ancient locations for not necessarily only religious things. Some of them are not necessarily being used for religious purposes right now. But like you go to the Stonehenge, there are many like this that I used to visit constantly for the same purpose, in sort of like a pilgrimage. And God has shown to me, because you used to do this very often, this is like a ritualic practice that you used to carry out. Of course, I don't go to church anymore since I started my spiritual fighting consciously, and I learned how much damage they have done to everyone, including to me, and that they are part of convents and so on. And since I've seen priests doing witchcraft on me and so on, and doing necromancy and so on, of course I don't go to church anymore, and I actually claimed punishment on them, on all religious practices and churches. But God just showed me as an example, so it will help me accommodate with the idea of ritualic practice and so on. So essentially, everything you do, and when I say everything you do, I refer to your own spiritual fighting and your protection, because you have to do protection, your cleaning of your energy. But I also refer to, and this is actually how I started doing this, I refer to specifically when you receive a specific embodiment from the divine realm, and you are supposed to learn new abilities because you receive new gifts, spiritual gifts, and you need to learn to work with them. So all of a sudden, you many times you have to get acquainted with something that you never heard of or you never studied, like a different spiritual path, a different, like you can call it religion, but for example, I studied, and I said already, and I worked with deities from India and from other parts of the world, about which I didn't know anything actually in the beginning. So this ritualic practice is important, especially at those times, because they help you to connect with that specific geographical space, but also with the energy of that space, with the deities of that space, and it helps you to actually understand what is the purpose of this embodiment on you. What are you supposed to achieve through that? Because an embodiment, as I said before, it's not done on you, it's not activated on you for no reason whatsoever. And clearly, it is not activated upon you just so you can brag about it, that you have this and this identity and embodiment and so on. You have a spiritual purpose with that embodiment, and you need to learn. You need to learn what's your spiritual purpose, what are you supposed to do, and who are you supposed to work with. And this is really important, and it helps you to connect with that area, with those deities, with the practices there. And at the end of that, you will learn specific things which will help you achieve the purpose for which that embodiment was created upon you. For this, actually, God has asked me to speak about this for some time. It's not just now. But God showed me that this is a specific time when it's important that people understand you have to create your own ritualic practices. Because each of us has a different path. You have to work with God and with the divine realm to understand your path. And again, the ritualic practice has to come in support of your spiritual fighting, and it's supposed to define your spiritual existence. It's very important type of manifestation and of carrying out your spiritual practice, your spiritual work, your spiritual existence, and of course everything that comes with it, namely the somebody doesn't like this message. namely the purpose that you have, and basically just embodying properly the abilities and the gifts that you're supposed to actually acquire and develop, and create outcome with them. You're supposed to create outcome with them. So for this reason, you need to exercise those, and you need to get a grasp and a very deep understanding and experience, of course. Okay, so I guess this is the message. As I said, God asked me to convey this message, that this important ritualic practices are important. And again, one of the most important things, I guess, particularly if you're in a very intense spiritual fighting, is that through this you receive help from the divine realm. It's one leeway in which the divine realm can help you more than in a prayer, or if you just ask for help in an affirmation. It's more of a help that comes your way through this ritualic practice, because actually God has shown to me that is your divine team will immediately infuse that creation of yours, which is the ritual which you created, the ritualic practice, will infuse with their own energy in order to support it and to create outcome in material existence in 3D. Yeah. So there you go. This is the message. I don't know what type of spiritual activity you have, so I cannot give you examples from your own lives. But I already gave you examples from my life, so you will understand what this actually refers to. And I imagine this is what I actually feel, this is what I received from God, namely that it is upon you to create your ritualic practice. You don't need to read or to request some sort of books, because we are in 3D. Everything is counterfeit. Everything. So basically, God always advised me, you create everything related to spirituality. You created. You don't go take courses or read books, or everything is basically counterfeit, and it's infused with specific type of energy which doesn't help you, and there's a lot of lies in all they say. So for this reason, God always encouraged me. He said, trust yourself, just create, just create. Yeah. So then I'm sharing with you the message from God. It seems like this is the time also for everyone to do this. And I wish you luck. I will just underline at the end of this message the following. As I said in the previous video, the church interfered between the direct connection between the individual and God, and by creating these practices, these ritualic practices, you literally take in your own hands your relationship with God. And I think this is really important. This is beautiful. I believe this will help a lot of people to connect directly with God and with their divine team, of course, and will create your own sort of participation in that team, and hopefully will produce outcome faster than if you just make affirmations and astral letters for 2 times a year for the karmic board, or so on. Yeah. Okay. If you have any questions, please ask. I know this is new. We are not used in 3D in creating our own practices. Usually people are used with practices, ritualic practices taught by church. I'm here to say and to tell you that God wants everybody to actually create their own ritualic practices in cooperation with God and with Jesus, with the divine realm, because this is how it's supposed to be. And those ritualic practices that you will embrace, create, maybe if you feel like or you're guided that it would have a huge impact for others, you can actually share them with others at a later stage. And this will be as I said, direct connection with God. It will be your way in praising God, worshiping God, asking God for guidance, for help, for dispense, for whatever you want to ask Him. Yeah? Okay. I wish you good luck. And please let me know if you have any questions about this. I am myself in the process of working my way through this. And I would be happy to answer any questions that you have.